Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Moving Home with Charlie live stream. It's Bank Holiday Monday, so I hope everyone's feeling relaxed. And I hope you've got, like me, a nice fresh cup of tea or coffee or whatever you like to drink, and you can sit back and relax and enjoy this conversation, whilst at the same time, hopefully, getting up to speed on what you need to know if you are a home buyer or a home seller. I'm going to try not to pour coffee all over my desk. That wouldn't help. And we are live streaming live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and on a separate device, TikTok. Because on both YouTube and TikTok, I have suddenly got a really big audience. So welcome to everyone. 10 days ago, I had about 230 subscribers on my YouTube channel. And today I'm approaching 1,500 in 10 days. So if you are a new subscriber to my YouTube channel, welcome. And if you're a new follower on TikTok, welcome as well. I would like to point something out because I'm getting a lot of questions that I think this will answer. My channel is called Moving Home with Charlie. It's not called Investing in Property with Charlie. Okay, I am here to help people who are trying to get into a home, buying or renting or moving from one home to another. It's about the move, not the money. Okay, that's one of my little catchphrases that I've always had. It's about the move, not the money. And I think a lot of people, when moving home, get too hung up on the financials. What's the price? What's the fee? What's this? What's that? And actually, there are far more considerations that are non-financial that are more important than the money. Okay, so I'm here for you if you're a mover. Everyone's welcome, of course, but I'm not going to be taking investor-related questions. Okay, I'm not an investment advisor. Got my views on it, but that's not my area of speciality. My speciality is helping people who need to find a home. And ultimately, as any of you who may have gone and looked through my back catalogue of videos on Moving Home with Charlie, I have a dream of everyone having a home and no one having to suffer if they don't want to. And I think that there is the potential for that to exist, provided a few things happen. Number one, far more homes being built. But number two, the property industry bringing its resources to bear in the fight against homelessness. So today I'm going to be starting off with a market update because my goodness me, a lot of stuff has been happening very, very fast in the media this week. By the way, I had someone on TikTok do a comment about one of my videos saying, and the housing market forecast on Radio 4. That really made me laugh, that one. Thank you very much. Rub my hands together really fast. There we are. Okay. Please, join in the comments. I'm pretty sure that they're switched on there on YouTube. Yes, they are. Say hi wherever you are. Today, I'm going to cover the housing market. I'm going to talk for the first time about the rental market as well. I'm going to recap my top line advice, or advice is the wrong word. My top line views for first time buyers and first time sellers. Do a little bit more on first time sellers today. And I'm wearing a NASA t-shirt today for a very specific reason that I'll come to at the end of the live stream, which is actually related to the property market. Right, guys, let me get started. Now, first of all, I want to address the fact that the news this week, wherever you look at it, about the property market, about the economy in the UK, is genuinely frightening, actually frightening, if you sit down and look at what it means. And I know that there are a very large number of people going, I already am struggling with my bills. What do you mean they're going to go up 80% in October? And just going, what do you do? And I may well do a separate video on that with some sort of quite radical suggestions about how to approach that if you are someone who is facing the mathematical reality that there's no way you're going to be able to pay your bills and all your debts and that kind of stuff. I'll come on to that and I'll do a different video on that. It's very, very scary. And when I've faced scary times in my life, I have found I've been able to draw a little bit of resilience and strength to face that crisis when I am reminded of people who are far worse off. And if you've been watching the news, you'll also know that in Pakistan, the disastrous floods that have happened this week have affected 35 million people. That's more than half of the UK population, and 1 million people been made homeless basically overnight. Their homes have actually been swept away with all their belongings, their business gone. They've gone from having a home to live and having nothing to live. And we are never going to face disaster like that in the UK. And whilst that doesn't make our situation any different or any better, I think when you know that there are large numbers of people going through something much worse, it makes it easier to actually find the things that we can appreciate even in the dark times. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. It does. I find that helpful, right? And my best wishes to anyone in Pakistan, and anyone who's got relatives in Pakistan, dealing with that absolutely horrific disaster right now. So let's get into the market news, the property market news. I am going to start off by saying this, guys, about the mainstream media. A lot of people go, I just don't know what to think. I don't know what to believe. The mainstream media is saying it's going to crash, and they're also saying it's not going to crash. It's going to keep going up. And what do we think? And YouTubers are saying one thing and another thing, and it's just overwhelming. There is no easy answer to this, but there is a very strong suggestion, which is don't believe anybody. Don't believe me. Don't believe the mainstream media. Don't believe anyone, especially anyone that tells you that they know what's going to happen. The best thing that you can do if you're facing uncertainty is to try to do your research in as many credible different places as you can, and then form your own opinion, because where you live will be differently affected to the next town along. There's no like one size fits all for this. I mean, is the economy headed for disaster? In my opinion, 100%. I mean, 100%. There's no getting away from it unless something radical changes. But how does it affect you personally? You've got to weigh up all different kinds of things. And let me start by saying this. If you currently own a property that you can afford, and you're worried about the property prices crashing, but you don't need to move anytime soon, then just stay put, right? If you've got relative stability and comfort where you are, and you're worried about it, because moving, for any reason, moving is a deeply uncertain process, fraught with risk and pitfalls and things outside your control. And so if you have stability and a certain level of certainty in your life, and you can afford to hold it long term, then just stay put. Now, there's someone commented on my YouTube video last night saying that he personally experienced the 80s and early 90s house price crash, and it was a full 12. He bought at the top, and it was a full 12 years before property prices got back to their peak just before the crash. Right. So just ask yourself what that means for you. If you have just bought a property, or you're thinking about to buy a property, and you're wondering what the worst case scenario is, well, that's what happened back then. House prices in the southeast fell 27%. Right? That's a fact. That's not an opinion. And for people who bought at the very top, it was 10 to 12 years before house prices recovered and got back to where they were pre-crash. 10 years is a very large chunk of our lives. And you've got to ask yourself, where am I going to be 10 years from now? Of course, none of us really know. But maybe you don't have a family and you want to start a family. Maybe you've got young children and they're going to be teenagers 10 years from now. You know, your job, your company, where's your employer's company going to be 10 years from now? Where is it going to be 1 year from now? These are all questions that you've got to ask yourself when you're thinking about your personal circumstances, okay? It is a mistake to base your reason for moving solely on price. Let me say that again. It is a mistake to base your reason for moving solely on price. Now, I didn't say affordability. If you're being forced to move because of affordability reasons, that's different. But what I'm saying is, if you have a choice of whether to move or not, and you are compelled to move, don't make your moving decision just based on price. Because if you're doing that, what you are doing is you are speculating on the property market. And even the most positive and certain looking transactions can go wrong, right? And what we're doing is we're facing real uncertainty, political uncertainty, economic uncertainty, jobs market uncertainty, and then all the other crap that's thrown in there as well, like health pandemics and this kind of stuff, and the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset and all this horrible thing. You will own nothing and be happy. No, we won't. That's a ridiculous thing to say. Shut up. you'll own nothing and be happy. If we own nothing, who owns it? You know, the people who own stuff are the happy ones, right? Just ask renters. It's a frankly ridiculous concept. You'll own nothing and be happy. Sorry, I've got a little bit over passionate about that, but that's my view. So there's all this uncertainty. So what do you do? Are you a first-time buyer who's finally got yourself into a position to buy, and you want to buy because you want to own your own home, but you're worried about the market? What do? Have you just bought and you're worried about what to do? Are you someone that's got to coming to the end of your 2-year fixed rate and you've got to remortgage? What do? Do you sell? Do you move? I mean, there's all kinds of, you've all got lots of options, and I cannot possibly give you all individual answers. Since my last video, by the way, the comments section in my YouTube and in my TikTok has become impossible to keep up. So I'm really sorry if I can't answer all of your questions. I'm trying. The ones I answer are the ones that are the most commonly asked, so hopefully helping the most people, because my mission is to help as many home movers as I can. Now, with that said, let me get into what I think is going to happen in the housing market, because you can go and see for yourself what the official figures are, right? The land registry figures. But remember, number one, the land registry figures that were published most recently were for transactions that were agreed roughly 6 months ago. Okay, so if you think, well, property prices are still going up, aren't they? And then you look at Rightmove and Zoopla's house price thing, and they're saying, hey, properties are still 8% higher than they were a year ago. Yes. But what about a month ago or 2 months ago? You're not giving us that information. In fact, Rightmove, to its credit, did publish the fact that asking prices dropped nearly £5,000 on average in July or August. I can't remember which one it was. And then they tried to sort of pass it off as, oh, that's just it always dips in the summer. No, buyer inquiries dip in the summer. Prices don't move that fast. House prices don't change month to month in a reliable trend. Okay, so what is happening? Well, what I'm here to share with you is my insight from inside the property industry. I work alongside hundreds and actually thousands of estate agents that I have connections with. And I, on a daily basis, am hearing all the stories of what's happening. And in the last 7 days, I've seen a massive change, and it's this. I've seen lots of estate agencies, small and large, openly acknowledging that we are facing a likely property market downturn. Some of them are calling it facing changing conditions, and that's fine. That's still an acknowledgement of it. But that is a big, big, big change, guys, right? Only 2 weeks ago, there was no estate agencies publicly saying that the housing market is going to come down. And now they are. So that, although there are no measurable figures on it, that is a real and meaningful change, because when estate agents start admitting that the market is turning, you really know that it's turning, because those are the guys at the coalface. And when I say coalface, I mean they're actually negotiating the deals that are being agreed today on a day in and a day out basis. They're also having to face renegotiated. You've got this new thing called gesundering, right? Which is when a buyer at the very last minute before exchange drops their price. Now that is happening. That has begun to increase happening. And I don't take sides with buyers or sellers, right? Because if you get in the housing market, you're going to be both at some point, right? Unless you buy your first property and die in it, you're going to at some point sell it. So I'm neutral as far as buyers and sellers. And I think the most important thing is to find the market price. And if the market price has dropped and a buyer wants to renegotiate, then I don't think that's unreasonable. But don't do it on the day of exchange. That's just sort of shitty behavior. As soon as you think you want to do it, first of all, confront the risk that the seller may pull out and you may lose your transaction. And if buying the property is more important to you than saving a bit of money, don't renegotiate, buy it and get into it, because so many buyers kick themselves. They've spent 6 months agreeing a price, paying for the conveyancing, and they think, oh, we can save ourselves 10 grand. And they try and do it, and they piss the seller off, and the seller goes, no, I'm not selling it to you anymore. I've changed my mind. And they lose the deal altogether. Don't be that buyer. Don't be that buyer. If you want to renegotiate, you've got to be prepared to walk away if they don't drop the price, or proceed and pay the price that you've agreed. Okay, so what's happening in the market right now, based on all the information I have, and I have a lot of information. In fact, the best agent data set is the entire country's asking prices, and So I've really got a lot to go on here, and I've got no vested interest one way or the other. It doesn't affect me. So this is my genuine impartial view, is that the prices being agreed today, and this is a guess, this is an estimate based on, it's an informed guess, are probably already 5% down on the prices being agreed earlier this year, right? That's my view. The market's already fallen 5%, is my view, possibly even more. We won't see official confirmation of that until the transactions that are being agreed today complete and are filed with the land registry, and the land registry publishes those figures, and that could be 6 months from now. So it might be February before we know if I'm right or not. And by the way, anyone watching this video in February 2023, tell me, was I right or was I wrong? Right? I'm very, very happy. I don't mind being either way. So that's one thing that's affecting the market. Now, the other thing that a lot of people don't know is affecting the market, okay, and this is to do with the rental market, is a lot of buy-to-let landlords are putting their properties on the market, are selling their properties in a hurry. Okay, this is having an additional downward pressure on prices. Why is that happening? And one report I've seen from a credible landlord association is that 25% of buy-to-let landlords, that excludes institutional landlords who've got large portfolios, but 25% of buy-to-let landlords are selling their properties, getting out, they're exiting the buy-to-let market. Now that has lots of ramifications, and it's worth all of you knowing what this is. So why is that happening? The primary reason for that happening, there's actually a list of reasons, but there is a change being made in the law that is going to abolish Section 21 evictions, which means it's taking away a landlord's right to say to a tenant, I need you to get out of the property through no fault of your own because whatever, because I need to move back into it, or I want to sell it, whatever it might be. That law is being abolished, and that means that landlords will not be able to regain control of their properties. Okay, and so buy-to-let landlords who don't want to be stuck with a property they can't sell are exiting the market. There are other reasons as well. There have been changes to tax law, which I'm not an expert in. I don't understand it fully, but I know that a lot of law has already changed and is going to continue being changed. It's going to make it less and less financially attractive for landlords. All right. So you're going to see more stock coming onto the market, sort of stock that's currently rented or rent stock coming on the market. So that's another thing that a lot of people aren't aware of that's affecting the market. Now, what does that mean? 25% of buy-to-let landlords selling their property. On the one hand, you might go, great, there's more property coming in the market. Well, it's good if you're a first-time buyer, because it means that there is going to be more suitable properties for first-time buyers coming onto the market, which gives you more choice and probably at lower prices. So if you're a first-time buyer, that is good news. If you are a renter or a tenant, it is bad news, because it means there's going to be even fewer properties available to rent, which means only one thing in a free market economy, which is the price of the remaining properties is going to continue to increase. And that is terrible news if you're a tenant. And we already have spiking property. I think rent's gone up, I'm probably wrong, but I can't remember exactly. It's something like 20 to 25% during the pandemic, right? So who do you want to blame for that? And people like to blame stuff. I mean, the point is, the reason prices go up is free market forces. Okay, you cannot blame a landlord for accepting market price on their rent. You cannot blame a landlord who's doing it because they bought the property with a mortgage and they're trying to get a return on their investment for accepting the highest offer on their property. It's what anyone does if you're selling or renting a property. It's sort of a bit silly to expect otherwise, right? Landlords are going to go for the highest. You know, if you're selling your car, you're going to sell it cheap just to do someone a favor, not unless they're family or not. So don't expect landlords to do stuff on the cheap. The landlords are going to benefit from a rising market. Okay, the root problem of the price increases in both markets is a drastic shortage of new properties being built. Okay, the government's own target for a long time has been build 300,000 new properties a year. They haven't got anywhere near it ever. So every year there is worse and worse and worse shortage of new homes coming to the market, and that's what's needed. And anyone who understands that as a problem, the social problems that happen as a result of not enough new build properties and affordable new homes being built are endless. There's a cascade of social issues that come from that, including homelessness, right? And people living in temporary accommodation. It's all as a result of this. There are councils that are desperate for more properties to house people in vulnerable conditions. And they can't. I've spoken to these councils. These councils are offering landlords upfront bonuses of 2,000 quid if they will make their property available for a council tenant. And it's just not happening. Why? There aren't enough homes being built. And in my opinion, it is an election issue. And next time there's an election where we're allowed to vote, unlike this one where we don't get to vote for the Prime Minister we're about to get, honestly, most problems can be traced back. Most social issues can be traced back to not enough new homes being built. And that needs to be made an election issue at the next election, because whatever your political leanings are, that will solve a lot of problems. All right. So it's looking bleak for tenants, right? It's looking bleak for tenants. It's looking improving for first-time buyers. I want to just touch again on negative equity. I had someone put a comment. I've had some really shocking comments, actually. Someone said, I was looking with an agent and I asked them about negative equity and they didn't know what negative equity was. Right? So anyone looking to buy, if you're out there viewing properties with estate agents, ask them about the risks of negative equity. And if they go, I don't really know what that is, you be worried, okay? And talk to someone that does know what that is. Quick reminder, negative equity is when the value of your house falls below the size of the mortgage you took out to buy it. Now, as long as you can afford your mortgage repayments and you can wait till the property comes back up, you'll be okay, you won't lose your home. But the nightmare is your property is worth less than the mortgage, then you lose your job, can't keep up with your repayments, and then the house gets repossessed and you've lost your home and you've lost all your equity, and it's a horrific scenario, and you want to do everything you can to avoid that scenario. If you're watching this having just bought, having paid top whack, because that's what you had to do to secure a house, what can you do to minimize the chances of this? Just plan long term and make sure you can afford your mortgage above all else, right? You will not lose your home because you didn't pay your gas or electricity bill, all right? So you will lose your home if you don't keep up a mortgage on it. So just prioritize. If you find yourself in financial straits, dire straits, because you've lost your job or anything else, keep up your mortgage payments first and foremost, all right? Because then you'll still have a place to sleep and a place to live, even if it's freezing cold. Right, where have I got to? I'm sorry, I haven't looked at any questions yet. I want to just get through all the stuff I wanted to get through. First-time sellers. Let me recap. If you don't need to sell, then I wouldn't sell, because the stability of having a home that you can afford and you live in is great, right? If you need to sell, and in a moment I'm going to come on to, like, if you're someone that's already got your house on the market now and you're wondering why it's not selling, I'm going to answer that question for you in just a minute. But if you need to sell and are not yet on the market, don't delay. You should treat your choice of agent as the single most important decision you've made in your life so far, because if you get that wrong, you will not sell your house, okay? And when you come to selling your house, do not hope you're going to get the price you want. Be realistic on price, because it's better to take a hit on the price now and get the sale done than it is to hope you're going to get a bit more and then just miss the market and the market falls away from you. Don't be that seller, right? Don't be that seller. If moving is more important than the actual amount of money that you get, just get it sold and make sure you get an agent that can actually achieve that for you, which is not many of them, right? There are not that many agents that have been through this market before. You want to find one that has, or find one that is being completely honest about how hard it's going to be to sell your property. Now, lots of talking. Give me a chance to have my coffee. I've got a painful truth bomb for anyone whose house is currently on the market and isn't selling. Okay, there are two reasons for sure, and there might be more, but the first two reasons your property is not selling. Okay, number one You chose the wrong estate agent. That is just a fact. And you might say, oh, but he told me this, that, and the other. If you believe, I'm not saying it's your fault. Maybe they tricked you and lied to you and persuaded you, but you've been tricked into choosing the wrong estate agent. But a fact, right? The right estate agent will sell your property quickly at a good price. They do exist. So your job, if you're selling your house, is to do whatever it takes to find that estate agent, okay, and avoid being tricked by all the ones. Now, that's much harder than it sounds, because the tricksters are really good at what they do. They do it all day, every day. And their job is to come around and look really, really trustworthy and friendly. And don't worry, it's going to be fine. I'm going to get you more money. And look, I do this for a job. Why would I lie to you, right? Don't fall for the tricks. They will tell you what you want to hear. And I've even had really close friends of mine who've taken advice from me and gone for the highest valuation. And I've said, are you sure? Well, they really persuaded me. Yeah, but what if you're wrong? And they didn't think about what if they were wrong. So just be super careful, right? If your house is on the market and not selling, you chose the wrong estate agent. That is a simple fact. I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying it's your fault. You got tricked into it. You were exploited. Your lack of knowledge about it. But I'm saying this because I want everyone who hasn't yet chosen an estate agent to be aware. If you are with an estate agent and your house is not selling, and you'll check your contract terms and see if you can exit, because what you need to do is you need to move estate agents fast. Go and get another estate agent, right? Go to bestagent.co.uk if you want. We can help with that. It's free. But get another estate agent. If you are tied into a contract with your estate agent and they said, sorry, you signed the 12 weeks, you signed the sole agency 12-week agreement, which, by the way, look at the bottom of the screen, right? Big letters, it'll say when it scrolls through. Never sign a long-term sole agency agreement. Never. There's just never a reason to do that. It's only in the interest of the agent for that to happen. Here it is. Read it there. Sellers, remember, never sign a long 12-week or more sole agency agreement, right? Now, the second reason is, and this is also a mathematical fact, if your property's not selling, you're asking too much money, okay? Because every property will sell. Every single property will sell, just not necessarily the price that you want, okay? But it is hard fact. You drop the price enough, it will sell, okay? Now, how far you have to drop it depends on the quality of your estate agent. And that's why people worry too much about what an estate agency fee is. And by the way, people, don't use Purple Bricks or any other upfront fee estate agency and think they're going to save you money. Don't do it. Don't do it. Unless it's someone that you know personally, that you trust, who works for them. That might be different, okay? But do not make the critical false economy mistake of thinking that a pay upfront agent is going to save you money because their fee is less, okay? How much you get when you sell your property, especially in a downturn market, depends on the professionalism and competence of your estate agent. And you want to motivate whoever you choose and work with them, okay? Right, how are we doing? So wrapping that up, first-time sellers, don't choose the wrong agent. Don't be too hopeful on price. Just if you need to sell for non-financial reasons or whatever reasons, be realistic on price. And if your property is not selling, it's because number one, you're with the wrong agent, and number two, the price is possibly too high and you need to change agents, right? If you're not selling, change agents. Step number one. And number three, don't use Purple Bricks. I'll do a separate video, by the way, about Purple Bricks, okay? I have history with Purple Bricks. When they first came out, their TV ad campaign was a barefaced lie. I challenged them. I publicly wrote about those being a lie. They threatened to sue me. I said, bring it on, because what I'm saying is true. They didn't follow through, and the ASA upheld my complaint and forced them to change their advert, all right? It's not the individuals at Purple Bricks. Do not blame the individuals working at Purple Bricks. They're people trying to make a living, right? But the company is a toxic company. I just wouldn't go near it, okay? Like I said, unless you've got a relative or a really close friend that works there and you know them and you trust them and they can get it solved for you, that's different. But unless it's a personal relationship you have, don't go near pay up front estate agents. That includes Yopa. Strikes is a selling a house for free. They make all their money on introducing you and selling leads, whether they sell your house or not. You need quality if you need to sell. Okay. Let me keep on going. Okay, let's do some questions. Let's do some questions. How much do I think? Okay, Amar Ali, you've asked how much of a factor do I think lack of new housing supply will be in resisting a property crash? Not enough is the answer. It's not. There is a lack of new housing supply, but what's happened? The reason property prices are going to crash, in my opinion, despite the fact that there's a shortage, is what's happening is a financial recalibration. Okay, a financial recalibration. So that happens despite the supply and demand, right? It's complex money market stuff, but there are external factors on global money markets that are contributing. Obviously, the energy crisis as well, interest rates as well, inflation. All of these things are forcing a financial recalibration, and that's why you're going to have this painful, some people call it a correction, some people call it a reset, whatever you want to call it, but the prices are going to come down because first-time buyers, who are the grassroots of a property market and that what make it healthy, are having their affordability and their lending criteria reduced. Okay, that's happening despite the supply constraints. So when your grassroots underpinning of a marketplace has its buying power reduced, that is happening. That's why prices are going to drop, even though supply is still short. Does that make sense? If I haven't explained that correctly, just let me know in the comments. Questions. Do you convince estate agents to stop? How do you convince estate agents to stop overpricing houses? Well, that's a great question. Dr. Chris 24. How do you convince estate agents to stop overpricing houses? Estate agents only overprice houses because that's what makes you instruct them. And they will stop doing it when you stop instructing an agent because they gave you the highest valuation. All right. So it's like they only do it. Estate agents only overvalue property because it works and it makes you sign up with them. Right. Because you go, oh, maybe they're right. And you want to believe it. Okay. So I'm afraid the overvaluing practice by estate agents is caused by expectations of sellers thinking that that's realistic. Now, I don't blame sellers, especially first-time sellers. I don't blame you for believing a very convincing professional who comes around and says, no, I promise you we can get that much money for your house. But it's never been more dangerous since the late 80s to believe that than it is now, okay? Just don't let an estate agent's valuation of your property even be a consideration on which one you choose, all right? Now, that might not make sense, but trust me, I work alongside agents. I've never been one, but I've worked with them and I see how they work and I know how they work, right? You should be basing your choice of estate agent on who you think has got the most experience, is the most credible, is the most trustworthy, and is not going to lock you in with lies, right? So don't choose your estate agent based on the value they put on your house. Choose an estate agent based on someone you feel really inspires your confidence that they really know what they're doing. Don't listen to the bullshit stories they tell you that are vague and non-specific, right? You can always tell the difference between, and by the way, if you haven't seen the video in my YouTube channel, which is Seller Secretly Films 11 Estate Agents, go and watch that video and look at that, the different conduct of estate agents, and look at what the winning estate agent of the 11 that came around to value the house, look at what she said in the valuation, and she ended up getting way over market price for it. Don't believe the high value. That's a great question, Dr. Chris. Let me get through some more questions. Data for experts, what are the key indicators you should keep track of? Mr. Beats says, with conflicting data from experts, what are the key indicators you should keep track of? That's a really good question. To which I don't have an answer, because all of the key indicators have such a time lag in the property market that they don't tell you what's happening right now. So my best answer to that question, if you are a buyer and you want to keep a track of something, is to get out and start viewing properties. Only if you're a genuine buyer. Don't go out and waste estate agents' time, right? They're human beings making a living. They haven't got time to be wasted. So, but if you're a genuine buyer or you're a seller also looking to buy, the best way to find out what's happening is to get out and view properties and start to see which ones are hanging around, not selling, which ones are selling, and why. Because never mind, it doesn't matter what's happening in the national market. It only matters what's happening where you live. Does that make sense? So that is the best answer I can give you, Mr. Beats. Go out there, view the properties, talk to the agents, meet as many agents as you can, get to know the agents, especially if you're a seller as well, and look for the ones that really are trustworthy. Looking for more questions. Have I got any questions on TikTok? I've been neglecting my TikTok followers. What's the name of the video again? The video is Seller Secretly Films 11 Estate Agents on my Moving Home with Charlie YouTube channel. How much are house prices expected to fall? Okay, so that's a question that lots of people are asking. How much is it going to fall and when? So unless major things change based on the current things we know about energy prices, economics, inflation, the war, and all that kind of stuff, my estimate, which is quite big, but honestly, anyone that makes a more accurate estimate than this is, I think, is a bit too overconfident, is going to be anywhere between 20 and 40%. I've actually taken a bet with someone. I will go out and sleep rough if it doesn't drop at least 20% off from whatever the highs are. Okay, between 20 and 40%. Some people are predicting more than 40%. If it does go more than 40%, we all have a much bigger problem, which is that banks will start failing. Because banks' balance sheets and therefore their viability and ability to lend and stay in business is based on the value of the assets in their balance sheet. And the property market falls more than 40%, banks' asset values are going to fall a lot, and they won't therefore be allowed to, they'll fail, unless they're bailed out by the government. So I think they're going to fall 20, 40%. As time progresses, we'll have a better idea on that. There are things that can be done by the government that will impact how far they do or don't fall. And the timings are, I think in the 90s, it took a full 3 years before the prices stopped falling. We were only able to see that with the benefit of hindsight and property reporting. But 27% in London and the Southeast, 13% everywhere else. And it's not an overnight, they don't just free fall overnight like stock markets can do. Property is slower because there are still people who need to move. And no matter what happens, there will still be some transactions. All right, so you will prices will fall, and actually that time lag in the reporting house prices is quite a good thing that stops an overnight catastrophic collapse in house prices, because that would be bad for all of us because of what it would do to the banks. A question from I'm sorry, that's a very difficult name to pronounce. Tolulopi, I think. Forgive me if I've got that wrong. You're in the middle of conveyancing, so you made an offer. So you're in the middle of buying a property. Do I advise that you withdraw your offer? Not if you can afford the property and you need a home. No, go ahead. So if it's buy to let, yes, get out. I wouldn't do that. I mean, unless it's going to be a really good return on your investment, you might want to proceed with that. But if you are guys, if you're asking me questions, could you always tell me if you're a home buyer or not? That's really important. It really helps me give you a better answer to your question. Let me know the context of your question. Are you a first-time buyer? Are you a second-time buyer? Are you a seller? Are you buying a home, or is it an investment? Only withdraw your offer. So someone's asking me if they should pull out of their purchase. If the reason for your purchase is a financial one, to try and make money, and you're only thinking financially, I would reconsider your offer and your transaction. If it's because you need a home, then okay, so you're a first time. I can't see because my logo's in the way. Yeah, okay, so you're a first time seller to move to a new home. Okay. Tololopi, I can't, there are lots more specific questions I need to ask you to answer that. If you're afraid of the uncertainty of moving, and if your new house is going to be more expensive, okay, so are you upsizing or downsizing? One more question. If you're a first-time seller moving into a new home, are you upsizing or downsizing? That would be helpful information. How long have we been going, guys? 40 minutes. That's quite long. I might start to wrap it up now. Do we have any other questions that... Tololopi, send me a private message on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. and I will answer your question there. I want to start to wrap things up. And I want to talk to you about the media and stuff. A lot of people blame the media for the position we're in. And I agree that the mainstream media is making everything worse by stoking fear. I don't think that they're doing it to hurt people. I think they're doing it because mainstream media... where's this book? I need to show you the book I'm reading. I haven't got it here. The mainstream media makes its money on clicks, and only sensational headlines get clicks. So every time you click on a sensational headline, you're feeding the media frenzy. Okay? And all of the media has got an agenda, and they want you to believe one thing or another, and they'll always try to make you believe one thing or another. So my view is disregard the mainstream media, guys. If you know it's bad, stop watching it, because it will influence your thinking. Even though you know it's bad, it will still influence your thinking, right? So just don't watch mainstream media. Look for media. I mean, spread your net, look wider. I mean, Russell Brand's channel on YouTube, bizarrely, is a pretty interesting and a more open take on what's happening in world events. Check him out if you haven't. I think it's worth checking out. But yeah, the mainstream media is a very, very big problem. I don't think they're the root cause of the problem. I think they fan the flames of all the problems, because it pays them to polarize us, right? It pays them to force us onto one side or another. And no one's right, no one's wrong. It's much too complex and nuanced for anyone to be right or wrong. So don't watch the mainstream media. And let me wrap up with this. Why am I wearing a NASA t-shirt today? Today, the Artemis project, the NASA Artemis project, is launching. In fact, it's launching in a little under 2 hours. It's the biggest rocket I think they've ever launched, and it's going to the moon. And this is the first one. It's going to the moon. It's going to go. It's an unmanned rocket this time. It's going around the moon and coming back. It's a test flight, effectively. And the Artemis mission, if it succeeds and completes, and it's got like several more flights will be going, is going to be to put the first building on the moon, right? They're going to put a building on the moon if everything goes well. And there's going to be real estate on the moon. There's going to be property on the moon. And so that really opens up a whole other dimension, fourth dimension in the property market conversation. So my kids love space rockets and space and that kind of stuff. So we're going to be watching that rocket launch live on the NASA YouTube live stream. But how interesting. The property market is going to be extending itself to the moon. Hence my NASA t-shirt for today. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that live stream. I hope you found it helpful and useful and informative. Please give me feedback, because I'm new at this, right? This is very new to me, live streaming. So I don't know how it's going. I'd love your feedback. And I want to finish with this. Frightening times, definitely. October, prices going up on energy, and then again in January, and then again in April. So this is actually a long-term problem, and I fear that unless something major changes, we're going to be looking at a long-term depression. Okay, so there's still little bits of fun that we can find every day, and I urge everybody who's feeling afraid to just have coffee with friends, see people, right? Sitting down with people that you know and love, meeting new people, talking to them. That's what really actually is where our fulfillment in life comes from. So go and meet your next door neighbor if you've never met them. Go and just start up conversations with strangers you wouldn't have done before, because if we're facing darkness and dark times, then community is going to be everything. If people, if your neighbors can't afford to heat their homes and you can, then have them around for a cup of tea. And just that is one thing that we have got that people can't take away from us. Don't let the mainstream media divide you. It doesn't matter if you've got different opinions from other people. Talk to them about it. We learn from each other when we have different opinions. Do not be a victim of mainstream media polarization, whatever your position is. Everyone's a human. Everyone's trying to make a living. Everyone's trying to do the best they can from their families. You might have different opinions on how the best way that is to happen. No one knows for sure. So anyone who says, I'm right, frankly, to me, is an idiot. No one's right. This is a much too complicated problem No one can possibly know everything. Not even the people in power know everything that's affecting you, okay? All we can do is do our best. So look after each other, support each other, don't fight. If you feel yourself getting wound up, take a breath, go outside, let yourself calm down. Don't be provoked into fighting with your friends or family and neighbors over the stuff the mainstream media says, because that's what they want us to do, because that's what makes their advertising income blow up. Guys, I'm really touched with the numbers I've had on this live stream, both on TikTok and on YouTube, really high. I'm flattered, I'm honored, I'm grateful for your time. Thank you for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your bank holiday Monday. And anyone anywhere else in the world that's watching, welcome. Hope you're having a good time wherever you are. Keep it together. I'll see you on the next one. And keep on giving me your comments on the videos. It's been great talking to you. Thank you, Mark. I'll see you, Mark, on an 8. We'll do an agent live stream soon. Bye, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.